have one side of this, right? You have folks who are furious at the Tarantinos and other people. I mean, listen, the cover of the New York Post over the weekend was a guy flipping off a police officer, and this all happening 4 days after, a hero, a New York officer, was slain on the streets in East Harlem. You contrast that, though, with absolutely justifiable anger on behalf of a number of people in communities such as where you are in Baltimore. I wanted to ask you about Comey's point about sort of this divide in communities between, in his one example, these hashtags, police lives matter and Black lives matter. How do we come together to figure this out?
Well, I think first what's important is that we get folks out of the equation who really don't have any merit or any expertise or qualifications to even be speaking. I mean, a Hollywood director, for him to get up and say anything, I mean, come on, man. The truth is you're not in these communities where we are. So to say you're against, you're with the murdered, well, then we got to talk about all the people who are murdered, not just individuals who may be allegedly murdered by police officers. If you're really standing up for murdered people, we are talking about thousands of Americans who are murdered every day, who get no hashtag, who get no rally, who get no song for justice. So what we don't like is so many people using the deaths of people. And clearly, yes, we have a problem in this country, but this problem is not going to be resolved by making this a Hollywood issue or a celebrity issue or an opinionated issue. I agree with the gentleman from New York. Just keep your Hollywood business out of the real business of the day-to-day violence that we see in our American country, especially here in Baltimore. Unless you're on the ground floor, unless you're impacted by this violence, you really have no burns or have no weight on anything. So it doesn't matter if one is a Hollywood director, an entertainer. That means nothing to us who are on the ground floor, which us being the community, as well as the police department. Police department, yes, they have their measures, they have their practices, they have their methods of investigating to really figuring out the facts.
How do you think they're doing? Because listen, I've been in Baltimore, talked to officers who really weren't supposed to talk to me, but they did such essentially in shadow, and they said, yes, Brooke, because of what's happened and because of, to use Comey's comments, the Ferguson effect, this chill wind, or afraid of being the bad cop in some of these YouTube videos, they are being more reactive and less proactive. Do you feel like that's the case where you are?
Well, here's what I feel the case is, and it's what's going on with the police department is very similar to the African-American male experience, in that if one of your counterparts does something wrong, the whole group is judged. If one young black man has his pants down, and that is the glimpse that the media captures, then everybody gets shadowed. So I feel it's the same injustice and ignorant stereotypical behavior that's happening with the police department. If one police officer does something crazy, that does not mean the entire police department should be reflected with that behavior. We have good officers who are out here trying to develop the communities, who are out here trying to protect people. And the reality is, the facts are, they are trying to protect people from the killers who are most often a neighbor, a friend, or someone that lives across the street.
Harry, I know you want to jump in. I'm sure
first of all, here's a level-headed man I can talk to. And he's a very level-headed gentleman, all right? And I'm agreeing with a lot what he's saying here. Now, a lot of the problem here is that a lot of people think that cops aren't reacting out there, all right? Look at police officer Holder, who was just killed in the line of duty several days ago.
Here in New York.
Here in New York, he could have let that guy run off. And I know for a fact myself, when Al Sharpton used to get involved in stuff back the days when I was on patrol, I'd say, I'm not doing anything anymore. That's it. The hell with these people. But next time that gun run came in, I was right out of that car and I was right after that bad guy. So I think that a lot of cops are talking, but they're still out there doing the job.
So why do you think were you surprised when Comey made those remarks?
Yes,
Friday,
surprised.
and then again, and then again.
But he made a similar remark a couple months ago when he said something. But the fact here is, I think politicians are looking for a fall guy here, and they want to make the cops the fall guy. Because they don't want to take responsibility for their own failed actions in their own city.
Go ahead, Munir. You agree?
No, I agree 100%. What's happening is not, I keep telling people here in Baltimore, the level of violence is not the police department's fault. I can tell you this, and this is a strong opinion, borderline fact. If there were no police in Baltimore right now, we would have more murders than anywhere else in the world. I mean, it would be astronomically high. So the fact is that the police presence does, to some degree, curb the violence because some people still fear, law enforcement actions. But we saw, I mean, it was evident as soon as the riots happened and there was chaos in the city, people took advantage of it. We had 10 homicides in the 7 days right after the Freddie Gray unrest. So it's very clear we need police. Yes, we need a good relations between the police and the community. And it does take level-headed, rational thinking and coming to the table. But if all we're doing is blaming somebody, looking for a scapegoat, looking for somebody, then we're not going anywhere. So we're running in circles in this country.
Munir and Harry, let's leave it, but I'm so glad we had the conversation again. It's not going anywhere. It is an issue, especially in specific cities, as Director Comey pointed out. I really appreciate you both. Thank you.